What's up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we are talking Marvel Snap. With the global launch happening on October 18th, I want to make sure that you are fully prepared for those of you who are going to be diving into the game either when the game launches or you might be getting out there getting a hold of it a little bit early. In Marvel Snap, the card system is based into 3 different pools. You are going to unlock cards within that pool as you grow in the collection level, which means when you first get into the game, you're going to be accessing the cards in Pool 1. And I wanted to go over some of my favorite decks that consist of solely Pool 1 cards. So that way, as you are climbing that collection level, we can get you into a deck that is going to help you dominate out there in the Marvel Snap universe and get those power cubes as fast as possible. So I want to go over what's in the deck real fast and then show you a couple games talking through my strategies while I use this deck so that you guys can take those to your own game. So our deck is titled And Then because it's all about those on-reveal effects. We play this card and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and next thing you know, you're just winning the game. In Marvel Snap, your decks consist of 12 cards, and while I would say that all of these cards are thought through and super crucial, as you work your way up the collection level, you're going to realize that you may not have all of the cards for this deck, and I want to let you know that that doesn't mean that this deck is unplayable for you. Some of the key cards to this deck is first, we're going to talk about Odin. Odin is a 6-cost, 8-power card. It makes all of the on-reveal effects at that location happen again, which means on turn 6, when we throw Odin down, he is bringing the wrath of Valhalla down upon the people. He can easily win the location for us, not only based on his power, but activating all the cards at that location again can be absolutely huge. In case we don't draw Odin, I'm all about having 2 major win cards in our deck, and the second is going to be Spider-Woman. At 5 cost, 7 power, she afflicts all enemy cards there with -1 power, which means for 5 power, you can essentially go with an 11 power swing on a base, which should be more than enough to win a base on itself. Most often, we are not looking to play Spider-Woman and Odin on the same base, as those are our 2 biggest cost cards. The other 2 cards that I would say are essential to this deck are going to be both Ironheart, which is a 3-cost, 0-power card, who gives 3 other cards plus 2 power, and our other one is going to be Wolfsbane, who is a 3-cost, 1-power card, and she'll get plus 2 power herself for each other card you have at that location. Notice those 2 on-reveal effects, when paired with Odin, they're not only going to help us out early on, but when we get that major power swing at the end, it's going to add even more power to the board and give us so much potential to outscore our opponents. Now, some honorable mentions, and why we have some of the other cards in there, are solely to disrupt our opponent. With 12 cards in your deck, you're going to be achieving what you want to happen in that deck pretty often, and anytime we get the chance to disrupt our opponent is always a win for us. Cable is going to allow us to go into the opponent's deck and steal a card that could be absolutely crucial for their wombo combo. If they're playing a discard deck and we take their Apocalypse, if they're playing an on-reveal deck and we take their Odin, that just means that we have another Odin and double our chances to get our wombo at the very end. Yondu is going to do something similar and go into their deck and destroy one of their cards. Now, Nightcrawler, I think, is one of the best cards in Pool 1, and one of the beauties is you can move this card. With locations like Sanctum Sanctorum and Death's Domain, Nightcrawler can be played on another location and moved to that location, and with the buff coming from Ironheart, we have a really good chance of winning that location with just 1 singular card. So I highly suggest adding Nightcrawler to any deck you have if you have an extra slot that is just looking to be filled. And then last but not least, probably one of the obvious pairings that come with Odin is White Tiger. It is a 5-cost, 1-power card that on reveal is going to add a 7-power tiger to another location. Now, White Tiger doesn't do a ton for us in winning our location, but when paired with Odin, it allows us to add 2 of these Tiger Spirits to the board, which is always a good time. So that's a little bit of the thought through on the deck. I didn't mention every card, but you'll see them in our gameplay, how they can be super crucial to us winning the game. With that being said, I want to go ahead and dive into the games, and as a quick caveat before we dive in, you're going to notice that I am not playing in Pool 1. My collection level is all the way up in Pool 3, and your matchmaking for your opponents is based solely on your collection level. I'm not saying that the cards in Pool 3 are better than the cards in Pool 1, but the potential for higher scoring and bigger moves on the board does happen as we dive into those Pool 3 cards. What I think is really cool is we're going to show you that this deck is not only viable when you're competing against just Pool 1 cards, even against those bigger wombo cards, it still has scoring potential if you play it correctly. All right, starting off, we've got Central Park as our first location. We drew into Wolfsbane and Ironheart, which are 2 of our critical cards. So what we want to be looking to do is fill up our board and either get a cool Wolfsbane off on turn 3, or we want to make sure that Ironheart is going to be buffing at least 3 cards. Thankfully, because of Central Park, we already have 3 cards out there, which automatically makes Ironheart a great play. They played Blade, discarded a Collector, which means we're definitely going against a discard deck. The Big House is actually pretty helpful for us because 4, 5, and 6 cost cards not being able to be played there means they're not going to be able to get some bigger cards down on that location, which means that we're actually going to be able to get a big Wolfsbane off there and pretty much easily secure the location. Going to play Yondu because A, it works for us, and B, it allows us to get in their deck and get rid of something early. Yeah, I mean, it's doing that. I don't know why I'm stuttering. I forget that we don't have to edit this all down. We're just talking through some gameplay. So Onslaught Citadel is pretty big for that person because obviously they have ongoing effects with the Morbius, or if they had other ongoing effects, like maybe they're going to play a Wong to get a bunch of discards in. So we're actually going to throw Scarlet Witch down in there. And one reason that I love Scarlet Witch is because if a location doesn't work out in your favor, you can always throw her down and change that location to your favor. And sometimes it ends up like unfortunate because, you know, you're going to get a bad location, but lots of the time you can change it in a positive way for you. Boom. So there's going to be a +1 energy. So we've got some options here. We can either play... Yeah, we can go Wolfsbane here, which is going to be pretty big for us, and Nightcrawler is going to be able to move away, so we'd be able to play another card there. I think I'm definitely going to want to get Enchantress down here, because that's going to remove the ongoing effect of Morbius, which is going to be pretty big for us. We'll throw Korg down as well, throw that Rock in there. They only have 4 cards in their deck, and they're looking to draw into those, so throwing a Rock in there means that we have now a 20% chance of that Rock getting drawn, which is pretty big. Okay, opponent snapped. They've got Hellcow and Morbius down on this base. I imagine they're going to be wanting to move a big card over to Central Park. So if we play White Tiger over here, we can forego. We can add 7 power to the other side, which is pretty big for us. I'm not really worried about losing Big House because, yeah, they're not going to be able to play a 4, 5, or 6 cost card there, so that's fine with us. Yeah, I think we're going to go White Tiger to Tinker's Workshop. It's going to throw a Tiger Spirit over to the other side, which is going to even things up for us and let us know if they're playing there. Boom. If we draw into Odin this turn, that would have been sick, but obviously we didn't. So we're going to throw Enchantress down here, which is going to... Yeah, we're going to throw Enchantress down on this location, which is going to remove 8 power and make this a little bit closer, but it's still not going to win that location for us. Boom. So it's definitely their Apocalypse that gets played there. So we lose the far location, but we end up winning the other one. Once again, all about the ability to disrupt and remove stuff away from them is absolutely huge. So here we go. We just played against a tier 3, pool 3 discard deck, and we came out with a dub. So, and it, even like for a second, it even looked like the most confident win, but we had everything we needed to pull it out. And we even could have come closer on that other location if we destroyed Blade instead of the Squirrel. So, yeah, that's game 1. Let's move on to the next, shall we? All right, so we have Electra on turn 1. Always risky to throw Electra out there because you never know if they're also going to play a card, and that's not ideal to just risk the loss there. So we are going to throw Korg down because we do like Korg. Once again, we're banking on either a Ironheart play on turn 3 or a Wolfsbane. So stacking one location is not bad for us. Okay. So we're going to go Electra here. we're going to get rid of Kunlun. Now, we're going to get rid of Kunlun and not Washington, D.C., because if we can fill up our other locations at Kunlun and Monster Island, and we have a white tiger later, we will be able to move the tiger spirit over to Washington, D.C., which would allow us to get that +3 power bonus because the card would have no ability. Sunspot is exactly who we wanted to kill in that location, so that's fantastic. Okay. Boom. So Bifrost, everything's going to move one card over to the right, which means those two locations are going to be locked up. And that means that we are going to be losing at those locations. So we can stop the movement of Electra and one other card. They're all going to slide over. Yeah, I think we're going to play those two cards. I like Ironheart because Ironheart's going to buff those cards. We play Ironheart before we play the second card because that means that Ironheart is going to buff one of these 4 cards here. And that's going to add 6 power basically to that location to the right. Boom. So we are now winning that location because we played in that place. Now, a lot of thing that you need to check is the code words for the card, the keywords or whatnot, because Bishop is not an ongoing card. So playing Enchantress to remove that ability would not help us very much. So we're going to play Spider-Woman to Monster Island. That's going to lower 2 power off of that, swing it in our direction. And then we're going to play Odin to do that again, which means if they try to buff up that spot again, we're adding 8 power plus any other card, or I guess it's not going to detract from that because it's important to pay attention to priority. So we are not going to have priority on that like it's going to play before, but Ironheart's going to trigger again. So we're going to add 6 power to either of these locations, which should help us out. That's the beauty of playing just the 2 locations. A blue Marvel here now doesn't matter because even if they had played blue Marvel, it wouldn't have buffed Bifrost enough. They wouldn't have been able to catch up to us. So, boom. It is totally okay in this game to forego one of your locations and to just stack it up, especially when you're playing the and then effect, because that just makes your Odin play at the end even more powerful. We've got Jesse James here. All right, so this is a great example of what we had talked about before with Sanctum Sanctorum, where we cannot play a card over to Sanctum Sanctorum. So Nightcrawler is going to be incredibly helpful for us here if we're able to draw it. We're going to throw Korg out there and throw a rock into their deck. The other beautiful part about playing that is that we are adding the possibility of, like, we already have priority here, so every time that they go to play on Lechuglia, whatever that may be, they're going to add even more rocks to their deck. So we actually want to get the Cable play as soon as possible because that means that we don't want to be drawing rocks out of their deck. Now, if you play Korg and then you play Cable, this is a great example of why you want to play them in reverse order. So this is a pretty rough set of locations for us, guys, because nowhere makes on reveals not happen. And yeah, that's a dark place to be. So we are going to play the rock over here. Yeah, we're going to play both of those cards over there because ideally we're going to play an Ironheart on the next turn. And we want Ironheart to buff everything. So we're going to go ahead and start stacking this middle location. And we're going to go ahead and move Nightcrawler over to Sanctum Sanctorum, because we are looking to hopefully capitalize, and maybe they're not going to be able to play cards over on Sanctum Sanctorum.
It's clobbering time!
We probably can't keep up with them on Nowhere because of, yeah, if we try to keep up with them on Nowhere, it's just not going to work because we don't have our reveal abilities. But we need to be playing cards, so we're actually going to keep playing cards over to Nowhere, just because, yeah, we need to make sure we don't lose a ton there. Okay, so this is super interesting. So they don't have any cards down in Nowhere. Every card that they play is going to have +2 if it has no abilities, and +1 overall. So it's going to be +3 to any card they play that has no abilities. So I would imagine that we're going to see a Hulk or something like that in the main location, and they're just going to try to win Lechuglia right off the bat, because it would be 12. It would be a 15 power card. And we're just going to be at 12 in the middle. So we got to hope that Ironheart buffs something in the middle. Ooh, Ultron is good. But Ultron doesn't have on-reveal abilities, so this is a classic example of them drastically misplaying this. On-reveal abilities, always pay attention. So they end up, Ultron would have been really good if they didn't play it to Nowhere, because it would have added 4 1-power drones to all of these places. Those 1-power drones don't have any abilities, so they would have all been +3, so it would have been +12 on every single base, which means we would have tied the middle, lost Sanctum Sanctorum. And there you go. That would have been enough to shut it down for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the And Then deck. A little bit of action for you. And as you saw, like I said, it holds up even against some of the bigger cards, even when they make outplays. We had a moment there in that last game, right, where I made a foolish decision and played the Korg into the cable, and we got a rock. But it ended up working out for us in our favor because they also made some misplays. So, the key to Marvel Snap, obviously making sure that you are not misplaying. We are thinking through what we can do and knowing your deck. I would honestly say, if you're getting used to the game or you're getting into it, having a deck list in front of you, knowing, hey, these are the cards that I have left to pull. If you don't know your deck wholeheartedly, it's very helpful to know what could be around the corner for your deck so you can start making as many strategies as possible. If you enjoyed this, it helps the channel out a lot for you to hit that like button and hit that subscribe. It just, gets our information out to other people, and we are just trying to build a little community over here on Robbie C Gaming to try to get Marvel Snap and some other amazing games out to as many people as possible and have a fun time while we're playing them. So I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope that you, as you progress down your Marvel Snap collection track and the Infinite track and the Season Pass track, that you just have an absolute blast out there completely outplaying your opponent. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for checking it out, and be sure to check out the other deck videos that we'll be dropping here on the channel soon. But in the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of the week and you make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, I'm going to leave you with a Snap and the Wombo combo. It's 30. I don't know how the math works out. I literally can't explain it to you, but we're going to snap because we 100% win this game, because Ironheart is going to trigger 256 times, because this is high key comedy to me. It was indeed a close one.